Alright, first put on my safety glasses and my gloves. And then the next step, we're going to take off the service valve covers, which are, these are nuts kind of on the top and bottom here of the compressor and the condenser accumulator, and the caps. So these are more like nuts, and these, you can just screw these off with your fingers. So I'm going to take these off. Usually they're finger tight. You just want to do it with your hand. You don't want to use a tool, because then it's going to be so hard that you can't get them off, or twist them back on, and you don't want to cross thread them and put pressure on them, because then they'll mess up your cap and your connection. So that was step 2. We'll move on to step 3. I'm going to hook up my manifold gauges. I'm going to disconnect them from the back side. So wherever your reading is, it'll go through the front and actually be detected on your manifold. So first, I'm gonna connect my high side. Low side first, it doesn't matter. Just make sure it goes on straight. I leave stuff loose first, and then I go back to tighten them to make sure that it's secure. So you get them, you know, a basic idea, and then make sure they're pretty snug, because you don't want them to blow off. This isn't under high pressure or anything, but still, I mean, okay. So that was step 3. The blue is low side, the red is the high side, and suction, discharge. So now you want to crack open the service valves, which are under the nuts here, so that's the covers that you have to take off. So you can line up, just break them loose, and then I twist them off with my fingers. So it takes a minute just to get these caps off. It's not hard or anything. And then they're in, you're going to want to mid-seat the needle here, which is where you hook up your king valve wrench. So you want to make sure that your hoses are connected and that your manifold's closed. And then you open your service ports here. So when I turn it to the right, it's hard, so it's closed. So you have to switch the little lever here, and then put it back on there. And then you break it to the little right, twisting it left. Do it about 4 turns, just opens up. Basically this is going down or up to make sure that your system's open to your gates. So I'm going to do the other side. Should be about good. Then I switch back the lever when I'm done, because if I need to put it back on, I already know what direction it's going. So that's good there. Okay, now that both of the sides are open, the ports are going through the hose. I'm going to take the yellow hose off of the manifold, and you might want to be careful where you have your face. But we're going to let this loose, and you're going to hold it in place, preferably with your foot, because now we're going to open our manifolds, and then we're going to let the nitrogen out. And remind you that do not do this with refrigerant. You need to recover it first. We cannot release the refrigerant into the atmosphere, into the air, whatever you want to call it. So I'm going to hold this down with my foot. Okay, so now we're going to open our manifolds both sides. And you can hear the hissing is splitting, and our gauges are going down. It had a pressure reading, and now it's going down to 0. So now we're to step 7. I'm going to hook up the hose that I just had to the bottom. connection that is hooked to the micron gauge. Sorry about that. It'll be kind of tough to get them on. The grip as well with gloves on, but you're supposed to wear them, so. So make sure it's nice and snug with your fingers. And then we're going to attach the top part of the T to the micron gauge, and that's going out the right side of the T. I don't know if y'all can see it. And then the top part is what's going to actually hook into our vacuum pump. So you got to twist that, connect it. Just going to set it here. And then this is the port on the vacuum pump that you connect it to. And again, it's hand tight, just twist it on. Probably pretty good. Now we're going to turn on the micron gauge and the pump. And if you're along with me on step 8, before step 8, again, you want to make sure that all your hoses are connected and everything is good. And then a tip is to make sure that your unit's off. You don't want this unit to be actually on. It's remained off the whole time. And optional is when you have the system. It's not reading anything right now. You can have an option to write down your start micron reading and the end micron reading. It just shows you the difference of units pumping down. So basically, I'm going to turn the vacuum pump on, and we will, if you see here, there's a lever. And when we turn the vacuum pump on, we want to twist that lever because right now the vacuum pump is closed off, and it says open close, but you push the lever down and it goes up to where it says open. And so we turn the vacuum pump on, and then we twist this, and then we heard how it's gurgling and it's sucking. Now it's open to the system. So now this is the beginning of the vacuum process. So now it's been about 20 minutes or so. We've just been letting the system be vacuumed. And now the micron gauge is down to 380. So we started at like 11,000. It decreased very fast. And now it's down to 380. So that's between 250, 500 microns. So for now, that will be good. So what we do is proceed to step 9. And what we're going to do is we're going to turn off the valve that we turned on. So you just twist the lever. And it can run for a few seconds and then turn off the pump. So now that that's off, I'm going to close my manifold gauges. You twist the right one forward and the left one backward. So those are closed off. And now I'm going to unhook the bottom of the T of the yellow line. And I'm about to spray a little. I just do it really slow. So you take that off, and then you're going to connect it to the regulator of the nitrogen bottle. So that twists on clockwise. So now that was step 10 and 11, and we're on to 12. You can disconnect the micron gauge and just set it off to the side and take the hoses off. Basically, it's just to detach it from the T that we used. So now the hose is disconnected. It's set off to the side. Micron gauge is off. You unplug it. Thank you, sir. I can just lay there. And then now we want to make sure that our service caps and our port, our nut is back here. So then when we're done, we can put it back on. We're almost finished. We're just going to charge the system back up. So remember that our gauges are closed for now. And we want to make sure that all of our connections are tight, which they should be because nothing's changed. Just sometimes it wiggles around. And when you're connecting and disconnecting the hoses, I mean, you never know what can happen. So now we have the nitrogen bottle. This is the regulator I was showing you the drawing of on my illustration presentation. And this one is detecting the pressure of the bottle, and then this is what's going through the regulator into our system. So that was on step 13. Now we're going to twist the knob. We're going to turn the nitrogen on first, the bottle. Just leave this be because you don't want to open the pressure and it shoot out. So we're going to contain it in this the little valve here first. So you twist it and turn it open. It even says open left, close right, and you'll get your reading on your gauge here. It's just over 2,000, about 2,300 PSI. So that is good. And then now we're going to go to opening the needle. You twist it inward, and if you're here, you can see the needle increasing. It's going upward, and you adjust it on how much pressure you want. So when you open it, it's not just going to go all the way open. You're determining where it's going to be set. So now I have it at about 50 psi, and when you have that connected to the nitrogen, to make sure there's no air from disconnecting, you want to bleed out a small purge on your middle line, the middle line, the yellow hose. So you want to just do a quick close it back. So now you can listen and look at the system and see if anything is abnormal. But you can't really hear anything. But this is when you can perform or see if there's any type of leak. There's different stages where you can do that, but we're not going to do like a triple evacuation today. So this is just going to be a one cycle type deal. Now that is connected, we're going to proceed to step 15. And this is when we open our high and low side knobs. So we're twisting it. If you can hear it spilling. So it's going into the system. And our pressure is going up. So the reading on our gauges here, the gauge on the low side is the same as the pressure coming out of the nitrogen. So it's at about 50 psi on the gauge as well. Now, when we shut off, that's all the procedure is to put nitrogen back in it. We're gonna twist the bottle back off and leave the control open. And then after that, we're going to close our service valve. So, I already have my wrench adjusted. You just twist it. So, it's only a few turns because I didn't have them all the way open, so now they're closing again. This is front seating, it was mid seating. Back seating is when it's all the way open. So now we turn those off. Nitrogen's inside, you can put the caps and stuff back on. It's not really a big deal right now, but just to disconnect the nitrogen, we can turn the control regulator counterclockwise, the pin goes back up. The only pressure inside now is between our hose and our regulator. So you can just take off the end and it just gives you a little hiss. I always turn away because I don't want stuff thrown in my face, even if it's just a little bit. But anyways, you can disconnect and attach your lines back to the manifold, and your service port should be closed, and you just disconnect your hoses. There's no pressure on them, nothing's coming out. If anything's coming out, that means that your valves aren't closed and you need to put your hose back on. So then you can make sure that you close your valves with the service valve king wrench. So then you just take these off and attach them to the back of the manifold just like the other line. And that is how we charge our system. Nothing's leaking out of the nitrogen bottle. So that's how we end. We just have our gauges loose, and that's how you do your evacuation vacuum process. And that's all of the steps that you basically follow to clean your system.